You ready for this?
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn. Hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello everyone, and welcome to the 53rd episode of the Nexus Trolls, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, part of the Trolls.gg podcasting network. So I'm your host, Linus Daz Kilius, and I'm joined today by two people I've actually met in person now, and I can say that, LiQuiuD and Mystic. How's it going, gentlemen?
Good.
Great.
Great. We just got back from BlizzCon. You gotta be a little bit more excited than just great.
I was caught off guard. I was totally I lost track of time while I was reading that article, and I totally lost track of time, man. I was not prepared. All of a sudden, the intro's playing. I'm like, wait, what? It's it's that time? Really? We're going live? Oh, okay.
Well, I guess you haven't been on a regular show for a few weeks because you were sick the week before BlizzCon. Then BlizzCon, we did that special on the couch episode with horrible audio quality. I apologize to anyone who had to stress their ears through that one, because we still have apparently a lot to learn about one mic in a room and audio and such. It's a lot easier when you've got three people in three different rooms, but as soon as you get one mic in a room, it gets a bit more difficult.
I'm telling you, next year mixers in the same headsets they're using on the BlizzCon stage.
Sure, more things to invest in, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. We'll show up to BlizzCon. You'll have a suitcase full of this stuff. But
I'll bring Middle Pinky with me.
we had an amazing BlizzCon, and as a first timer at BlizzCon, it's something that I suggest that everyone who enjoys this game, and I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably enjoy this game more than most people. So it's something you should definitely try and make it out to. I know it's a long way to go. It can be a lot of money, but if you're looking to make a trip, looking to make a road trip, it's a great one. You meet so many awesome people too. I couldn't believe how many cool friends that we made, people that we've met online, that we finally got to meet in person, fans of the show, which is still kind of strange to have people come up to you and be like, hey, you LiQuiuD? And you know what? It happened more to LiQuiuD than anybody else.
I still don't know why. Those craziest things.
They'd be like, LiQuiuD. They'd be like, is Daz here? I'd be like, yeah, it's like me. I'm sitting next to him. They don't recognize
all right,
me.
Let's be fair, though. Daz had a huge beard going on while he was there, which is not his normal look.
That's true. I was incognito. I wanted to slip into the background. But I mean, it was really cool. We met a lot of cool other podcasters and content creators. Ferocious Steph, who used to be called Oddish, stole LiQuiuD's seat for a little while too, which is super cool. And I mean,
wait, she did? I didn't hear this.
Yeah,
what?
I think you were in the bathroom. So she was talking to some people behind you. So I was like, oh my god, I think that's Ferocious Steph. It's so weird to see people that you watch and follow all the time, and they're all over the place at BlizzCon. And it feels like half the people there are streamers, content creators, pro gamers. The number of times I passed by Bakery, Dunk Train, all the big names you've heard about, it was super cool. And they're really nice people, and everyone's happy to say hello. Who was your favorite person that you met there, Mystic?
I talked to Chew8 and Fan, and I was really excited to talk to them because I watch their streams all the time, and it was really awesome just to say hello to them in person. Yeah, I would have been. I missed Chew8. I would have liked to see him because I actually grew up right around the corner from him too. So I feel like I could have maybe had a little bit of a connection with him there too. But like I said, there's 30,000 people. So it's not like you can meet or bump into everyone you'd expect to be there as well.
Well, and to be fair, you sat next to me in the front row the entire time HGC was on.
Yes. So those of you wondering, yes, LiQuiuD did get his front row center seat. We did get some pictures with not with janitors, but of janitors.
Janitors.
And he did not move unless he had to go to the washroom or get some food for the whole time. So we had amazing seats for every single game, and it was just an amazing experience in general to watch and be part of that. So again, if you're thinking about going to BlizzCon one day, definitely try and make the trip out, potentially next year if you haven't been before. It's definitely worth the trip. So enough about our trip to BlizzCon. Let's start getting to the show, because I'm sure a lot of you want to hear about what Blizzard announced at BlizzCon, other than what we did there personally. We've got a lot to talk about on the show. We're going to talk about pretty much everything Blizzard announced about Heroes of the Storm. We're going to talk about Alexstraza. We're going to talk about Honzo. We're going to talk about stealth changes as well as other game changes, and there's a whole laundry list of them that we're going to be going over today. LiQuiud's going to be talking about the HGC finals and what shakes out from there, and also the aftermath of it too, with maybe some roster changes that are starting to crop up. And Mystic's going to round the show out with his Mystics Shakedown. But before we start the show, we always like to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/trollsgg. Thank you so much, everyone who was a patron for, I guess I call it last season, because this is our second year of the show now. It was amazing having your guys' support. It gave us the opportunity to give out a lot of free stuff actually at BlizzCon, as well as t-shirts to a lot of our patrons that we're sending out as well. So thank you so much for your guys' support. The show will always be free. We're never going to charge anyone a penny for it, but if you're looking to support the show, you can always do so over at patreon.com/trollsgg. So we got a troll of the week this week, and to keep, I guess, it consistent. It turns out, I mean, this kind of rolls into our next segment. We've got some new writers writing for Trolls.gg. We used to call it a podcasting network, but I think it's more like an entertainment network now because we're branching out. What happened was, just to give everyone a little bit of recap, a few weeks ago, Dorsch was our troll of the week. Like the next day, he was one of our writers. So I figured, well, now that we've got 3 writers, we should probably feature them on the Troll of the Week. So we actually had a great article today by Romedy MC that got a lot of traction about the psychology of teams, and specific on how it relates to Heroes of the Storm. Really relevant as well, because it's the end of a lot of people's seasons if you're in the pro scene. So talking about like how you should maybe look more internally as opposed to externally for changing yourself, and just the dynamic of how like the team dynamic works in terms of like the minority and the majority voices. A really great read. It's on our website, trolls.gg. But Romedy, thank you so much. I'm looking so forward to the more content you're going to be putting out as well. That's a great start. I think even McIntyre caught wind of this and retweeted his article today, which is really cool as well. So, LiQuiud, do you want to intro some of the other writers that we've got that are going to be joining the Trolls GG network as well?
Sure. So,
because you might have been reading one of their articles instead of prepping for the show.
I was the best. All right. So Daz did mention Romedy MC, and Dorsch already, both of who have written articles. We also have Rosai, who's going to focus on guide, strategy, and breakdown on the music behind Heroes of the Storm. He is a composer, an arranger, and a music educator with a master's degree in music education, which gives us 2 masters.
Yeah, well, Romedy.
Because Romedy is on his working on his PhD, right?
Yep, he's a PhD candidate in clinical psychology. I did my doctorate in mechanical engineering, so I guess we're a very highly educated network, right?
we have all the smart people. And then also Annalise, who I'm stealing her thunder a little bit because I think she was going to announce it on Twitter once her article goes live. But she is probably one of the few people I've met that actually takes better notes and is more observant about HGC. Actually, my wife found her and sent it to me and was like, this is the person that you guys are looking for to cover HGC. And I went and read her articles and I was like, yep. And we, here we are.
So you're giving me a little homework, because I know her article's prepped and ready to go. I just need to edit it and make sure, or I mean, I say edit it, but I mean like proofread it and just say good to go, click the publish button. But I'll have to do that right after the show starts so that I don't steal her thunder. And she can post it on Twitter, so only the live audience, I guess, gets a little sneak peek before the show goes up. So super cool though. So now we have officially 4 writers writing for the show. So trolls.gg, check it out. We got like a new section. We're probably gonna get some more guides and more content up there. Still seems strange to say that all that, because it started as just a podcasting network, but hey, great exposure for the site.
I'm gonna take this opportunity to say 2 things. So one thing, we are still looking for a social media manager, and that's pretty simple. We need you to tweet articles when they go out, post them to Reddit, and then make sure you're watching for any responses that we need to deal with. Everybody that's doing this right now is a volunteer, and they don't always have all the time in the world. So if you happen to be someone that wants to hang out in Reddit or hang out with TweetDeck Open and notify us of things that we should, like, someone should respond to, maybe it's an author, maybe it's, Daz, Mystic, or myself, whatever, Bags, doesn't matter. Hit me up on Twitter. Also, I knew this day was coming, but Daz mentioned it today. We might be looking for an editor soon. So if you're interested in doing some of that stuff, also hit me up. I didn't expect to hit 4 so quick. I figured we'd find like a writer or 2, and then all of a sudden it was like, boom. And we want to keep stuff fresh on the site. So if you're interested in editing, or if you're interested in, working the social media stuff, hit me up on Twitter, please.
Or if you're interested in writing too. Can't have too much of a good thing, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move along into BlizzCon. Well, actually, let's move along to the day before BlizzCon, because the day before BlizzCon, LiQuiud had a little special event he was involved in. Con Before the Storm. I got to make sure I don't call it Creators of the Storm because I do make that mistake often. Had a Con Before the Storm includes World of Podcasts, which is like a special event the day before BlizzCon starts, before you pick up your badges and everything. A lot of creators do panels. There's a lot of artists who showcase their work. There's a lot of meetups. Lauren was there. A lot of the teams, I think Team Expert, Roll20 were there signing autographs. GillyWeed and Dreadnought were there. Whole bunch of people.
3 NA teams. Yep.
Yeah, it was a super cool event. If you ever go to BlizzCon,
fanboyed super hard.
Yeah.
If you were there,
you
saw it.
Yes, I've got pictures of LiQuiud harassing multiple esports
hold on.
teams.
I would not say harassing. I fanboyed and I did ask them to sign my T-shirt. I would not call that harassing.
I think we'll leave that up to the judge. But either way, LiQuiud was like a kid in a candy store. But at the end, or closer to the end, they did some podcast panels, and one was for Heroes of the Storm. So LiQuiud was on the panel, and I'll see if I can remember everyone offhand here, with Scott Johnson from the core moderating, Bacon from Gankbush Squad, Jeff Reynolds from Heroes Forge, who's been on the show before, TBK Zord from Lords of the Storm. They had John Jagger and Bo Schwartz also from the core. Who am I missing here? Kyle Ferguson from Into the Nexus. I believe that's everyone. There might be someone I'm missing. I apologize if I do.
Scott was moderating.
Yes. So it was an amazing panel with, I think it was the largest panel at Con Before the Storm in terms of like people participating on the panel. There was 8 people, I believe. We actually had the backdrop for the panel. There's a big banner behind them. It started falling over onto the creators in the middle of the show, which led to a pretty comical moment. We actually will be putting this into our podcast feeds as well, so you guys can hear the panel from start to finish. It'll be the show before this one that you're currently listening to, so hopefully it'll just pop into there in your news feeds, both on the Nexus Trolls as well as Troll and HGC, so you can give it a listen. It's pretty interesting to hear the whole bit from and all the creators talking amongst each other too. So how'd you like the panel, LiQuiud, that you took part in?
So the panel was awesome. I had a good time. Even the backdrop falling down on us was kind of amusing, right? Like just the whole, I don't know. It was really cool to be. Bacon and I talked about this, and Gankbush Squad and us, like the Nexus Trolls, were the new guys on the scene, right? And it was cool to sit up there with podcasts that have been around for quite a bit longer than us, and talk heroes.
Yeah.
So.
It was definitely a good listen. So we'll be putting those in the feed so everyone can give it a listen once they go up.
And the whole event was awesome. So like seriously, if you're gonna go to BlizzCon, go a day early. Check out Con Before the Storm. The artwork from those artists is amazing. The like the whole experience, like all the meet and greets. All 3 NA teams were there. I did fanboy, but they were really cool to get to talk to. Bag spent a lot of time talking to each of them after I had already gotten everybody's signature. Most of the casters appeared at any given time, and lots of other we focus on Heroes of the Storm, right? But like there were WoW people there, there were WoW Arena teams there. There were a lot of people there. They really make it inclusive of all Blizzard games, and it was just cool, right? There's an artwork giveaway. I actually won a piece before that giveaway because I kickstarted to get us the extra room. That's how we got upstairs. We passed the threshold to get the second floor in the Kickstarter. So definitely, check them out, support them even if you don't want to go and you have some money to throw their way. Like, I can't say enough good. Like I had other than like sitting front and center, HEC was like amazing, but I had a great time the night before, and I can't say enough good things about Con Before the Storm.
Yep. And in general, if you're making the trip down to Anaheim to catch BlizzCon, go from the Wednesday. Try and get an earlier on the Wednesday so you can participate in Creators of the Storm or Con Before the Storm. I knew I was going to make that mistake again. And stay a day late because the con winds down Saturday night, but Sunday a lot of people go to Disneyland, which is actually right across the street, which is a great opportunity. I mean, I felt like I should have stayed the extra day because we all left Sunday morning essentially and missed out on taking advantage of the fact that it's right across the street from Disneyland. You already made the flight out there. You already made the long drive out there. However you got there, you might as well experience the whole experience. And that's the best way to do it. Okay. Right. But we don't want to get bogged down here because there was a lot that happened at BlizzCon itself, right? the opening ceremonies were amazing, and we got a really cool opening cinematic. And I know a lot of it was already kind of spoiled. I guess it was more
by us the night before.
I know. And you know what? It's more surprising to me, I guess, that Firebat wasn't in there. I mean, I think we said that Firebat sounded like kind of the odd one out in like the leaks, that people were saying, well, yeah, Firebat's going to be in the opening cinematic, but he didn't make an appearance. But we did get a really cool appearance from both Honzo and Alexstraza.
So I want to make a point real quick about that.
Okay.
Yes, I agree that we didn't see him obviously out and about in that opening cinematic, right? But Blizzard has this knack of like putting little hints in cinematics for future characters to come. So there may be a Firebat hit in there that nobody has picked up on yet. That's
reaching tin hat liquid material.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, first of all, I feel like since the tin hat has been mentioned, I have to do the tinfoil hat emote. But secondly, yes, I agree that that's reaching. I'm just saying nobody's come through the footage yet looking for it because everybody else is too busy talking about all of the cool stuff that's coming in the next, couple of weeks.
So let's talk about Alexstraza, because I mean, she's live on the PTR right now, so you can get a chance to play her if you just pop over to the PTR if you're willing to wait through huge queue times or play AI. Both myself and Mystic had a chance to play her on the floor at BlizzCon, and we've definitely formed opinions about her. I've also formed an opinion that Mystic is a much better Alexstraza than I am, because he did a really good job when I was playing. LiQuid kept complaining that I didn't give enough healing out, as well as our Cho'Gall that was playing there as well. But Alexstraza actually works very well with high health frontline heroes, and you'll find out why in a second. I'll go over her kit just basically. We're not going to go into the details. We're going to wait till she's live before she go over like the deep dive on her, but just so everyone kind of gets an idea of what our feelings or first impressions of her. So she's got a QWE ability. She also has her trait, which is called Dragon Queen. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this first is because when she goes into her dragon form, she gets a new set of abilities. So Dragon Queen is her deeds on a 160-second cooldown. It starts on cooldown, kind of similar to Ragnaros's, because it's almost like a second ultimate. So after 1.25 seconds, she turns into a dragon. She gains 500 extra health, very similar to like Murden's avatar. And she gains a whole new set of abilities, Q, W, and E. Basic attacks, when she's in her dragon form, deal more damage, and they do it in like an AoE cone, kind of almost like a Vala multi-shot or something. And any heroes that are within that zone when you're firing, you can't target allies, but any allies that are in the zone of fire get healed. So you've got an AoE auto attack with an AoE heal. Stuns, roots, slows, and blinds are also reduced by 50% in terms of duration. And her dragon form feels super OP. There's a reason that it only lasts, I think it was 15 seconds. I forgot to write in the notes here, but you can only use it 15 seconds every couple of minutes. So there's a reason that it's the OP form, right? It's very similar like Tychus's Odin. You don't have it up all the time, and if you did, it would be way too crazy OP, but you want it to feel impactful. And she's a dragon. You want to feel like a dragon when you're in that Dragon Queen form, and you definitely do. I think Blizzard knocked it out of the park there. So her basic abilities out of dragon form, her Q is called Gift of Life. It's a 7-second cooldown. Now you sacrifice 15% of your current health. So that's important to note because you actually get a bigger heal out when you're up closer to like 100% health. So you sacrifice 15% of your current health, and 150% of the life you sacrificed goes out as a point and click heal to whoever you heal. You can't do it on yourself, obviously. W is Abundance. It's a pretty cool ability too. It's on a 16-second cooldown, so it takes you gotta use this sparingly. You drop this big circle, almost like a Malfurion root, on the ground, and after 3 seconds, which is a long time after you drop an AoE heal, you see this little spinner go around. Once it completes, whoever's standing within that zone gains 20% of their health. So it's like an AoE heal. That's fairly sizable. And Blizzard's talked about, they said they did it with this long delay on purpose, so you feel like you've got a point to fight over. Like, it's important. Like, you see that zone, everyone's got to get in there, they got to heal up, and the enemy has counterplay too. They can put a Junkrat mine in the middle and blow everyone out of it, and everyone gets denied that heal. So I saw Mystic using this really well when we were playing too, because you have to predict where people are going to be in 3 seconds, which isn't easy to do. If you've got forward momentum with your team, you got to put it forward as far as you can. If you're on point, doing point control, you got to put it on the point. If you're retreating, you want to put it behind you. So you got to really have that essence of prediction in your head when you're using it. Flame Buffet is her damage dealing ability. It's very spammable. It's only on a 2-second cooldown. You gotta be careful though, because if you miss your ability here, you're gonna be draining mana pretty fast. So you launch a fireball in a straight line, it pierces enemies and ignites them. It only does 75 damage over 5.5 seconds. However, if you hit an ignited hero, it does bonus damage of 125. So it's actually like a fairly good amount of damage for a 2-second cooldown ability. And it applies a decaying slow of 40% for 2 seconds. And it refunds the mana cost. This works on minions in that too. So if you have it on a mini wave and you keep proccing it over and over again, you'll get refunded mana. So it's really important when you're using her flame buffet to make sure that you're constantly hitting heroes over and over again during the duration to get that mana refund, or else you're going to run out of mana very fast. Okay, so, I mean, she's got 2 sets of abilities. So this is the second set. When she's in Dragon Queen form, they're kind of similar, but kind of not. Her Q is Breath of Life. It's on a 3-second cooldown, so instead of 7-second cooldown, so it's much more spammable. She heals for 20% of her current health, whatever target she heals, and she doesn't have to sacrifice any health for this. So you give out more health, and you sacrifice none. Preservation is her W. It's the same thing. You put something on the ground, but except it's a little bit bigger of a circle. It's still same cooldown. After 3 seconds, the AoE heals for 30% of health instead of 20% of health for the heroes in the zone. And the kind of one that's a little bit different than her human form is Wing Buffet. I keep wanting to say buffet. Dungchain was joking that he was interviewing a developer and they were in on a joke and they kept calling it Flame Buffet. And apparently his stream was going crazy with trying to correct him on it. Anyways, Wing Buffet, or Wing Buffet, is on a 4-second cooldown. It's her E. It deals damage in a cone, again, similar to our kind of auto attack, and it does a pushback and a 50% slow for 3 seconds instead of igniting people on fire. So you gotta make that little change in your head, be like, hey, I'm doing a pushback with my E. I'm not lighting people on fire now. That's my auto attack does when I'm in Dragon form. And then her 2 ultimates, Lifebinder and Cleansing Flame, both of which I think are pretty good situationally. Lifebinder is 100 mana, 75-second cooldown. After 2 seconds, the ally you targeted with this ability and Alexstraza are brought the same health percent. And it's not one of the higher heroes. So if you're at 100% and the person you got this on is at like 1%, you'll bring them up to 100, or vice versa too. It works on Alexstraza as a self-heal as well. And again, 2-second delay, so you gotta be careful with that one. Cleansing Flame's the other one. This one's super cool. 100 mana, 90-second cooldown. After a second and a half, you actually jump into the air and you turn into a dragon. You see this cool silhouette flying over the battlefield during when this is actually activated. Now, every second or so, you'll actually drop a fireball into the ground, and it's where your cursor position is. So you gotta constantly be repositioning your cursor, and wherever it's hovering is where the fireball is gonna come down. That fireball will do damage as well as heal your own team. So you get an AoE damage, AoE heal. And the really cool thing about it is the range resets to wherever the last fireball hit, and it's got a really big range, so you can almost make it like a global positioning ability, or really good for chase. I saw Mystic chase down a Junkrat really well. I was running after him as Honzo. I couldn't keep up, but Mystic went up, did his Cleansing Flame, boom, 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 fireballs in the path, and then after the final fireball is done too, you come down as Alexstraza in the spot that you show your cursor to be. So Mystic, what did you think of the Dragon Queen Alexstraza? Because I had a lot of fun as her.
I thought she was really fun. I mean, I thought there were some problems with her a little bit because I don't know, I thought her flame buffet, whatever, was
flame buffet.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird that they made it that strong, because it is really strong, and then they made her other abilities like her Q and her W, the Gift of Life and Abundance. While it heals a lot, her Q, it only heals a lot if you're full health and if you're in a dragon form. Her W heals a lot, but like you said, it requires you to control an area. And then I feel like some talents are a bit overtuned. Like one of the level 1 talents was you hit 20 people that are on fire, okay? That's actually really easy. And the quest reward is every time you hit somebody that's on fire, it reduces your Dragon Queen's cooldown by 5 seconds. So from 150-second cooldown, if you keep hitting people that's on fire, which is really easy because the fire debuff lasts for like 5.5 seconds, you get it to about, I don't know, like 80-second cooldown, which is really strong.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, that dragon form feels really strong, and it should, because you're a dragon. Of course, it only lasts 15 seconds. You can spec into making it extra 9 seconds, I believe, and I think level 13 or level 16. And like Mystic said, you can spec into it at level 1 if you complete the quest to get the cooldown lower. So you can potentially have a lot more uptime on the dragon, which I think is pretty cool. Like the devs were talking about, there is a dragon build here. That's an obvious build path. There's also like the flame buffet build, I guess, too. A lot of people say she doesn't have a lot of self-healing, but she can actually spec into that. At level 7, there's some self-healing or damage mitigation talents that she can take, one of which is her flame buffet, where if she hits a hero who's already ignited, which Mystic said is not very difficult, especially in a teamfight situation, you get 10% of your health back. And it pierces, right? So you can actually get quite a bit of self-sustained healing from that, which is great because you want to stay at high health. There's also another talent at tier 2, which if you're over 75% health, you heal a hero with your sacrificing your own health ability, and it'll create a nice little flower on the battlefield. You go pick it up, and the next one won't cost any sacrificial health. So you can maintain your health high that way, because, I mean, staying up high, a lot of her abilities require you to stay over 75% health to maintain that bonus, and it's tough because you're sacrificing, it's like Gul'dan, but you don't have a life drain. You're sacrificing health constantly to heal up your team. So that's nice there. And there's another one too, that where anytime you get a regeneration globe, you actually get 100% of it, which is cool because you can actually make your own regeneration globes. If you spec into it level 1, there's another questing talent where it's a globe gathering quest, where if you get enough of them, you can make your own globe every time you use your W. Another cool little build path too. So, yeah, the one big problem there is you have to stay at high health to be effective. And I think some people are in chat are asking about double support. Yeah, I think she's another case of Ana double support is probably required with her, because she can do a decent amount of damage. Mystic, were you finding that too?
Yeah, if you go flame build, or even if you don't go flame build, you still do a decent amount of damage, and it doesn't even stop at the first target hit. It just goes through everything. Yeah,
but even dragon form too. Like if you're in your dragon form at an objective where people are clumped, because it's an AoE auto attack with a fairly size, because like your auto attack gets vastly improved. You have your standard mage support kind of auto attack levels, but when you get into dragon form, it's actually very powerful. You're doing AoE, you can hit like multiple heroes at the same time while healing your team. You can get a lot of damage out there, and that's what I found too. Even like cleansing flame, her ultimate, where you're doing the fireballs as you're healing people, it's pretty powerful going along. What do you think about those two ultimates, Mystic? Do you think Lifebinder or cleansing flame? Like I felt like they're situational, but do you think that one's better than the other?
As far as like variety of uses go, I'd say cleansing flame is the way to go. It just has a lot more uses. Like it heals, it damages, and it repositions you. You can use it as a global, and it is just very versatile. Lifebinder, it's strong, but it's more niche. Like if you're going to make a team comp and you really need a lot of healing for your divers or something, then Lifebinder is the way to go. So it's kind of situational, like you said.
Yeah, I was playing with a Cho'Gall when I played Alexstraza. I was like, oh, cool. Like that works out percentage-based healing. And I found Lifebinder hard to pull off because it's 2 seconds. Like I think Ancestral is shorter than 2 seconds, isn't it? So, and then also you have to make sure it's not just like a straight up big heal. It's very situational. If you're low health and your target's low health, there's no benefit to Lifebinder because it maximizes to whoever had the higher health. And in that case, if you're both low in health, it doesn't really work. Very similar to Q too. If you're low health and you're using your Q, which sacrifices 50% of your current health, if you're at like 10% health, that's sacrificing such a minimal amount. You're not giving any heals to anybody. You really need to keep your health up in order to be effective. Okay, so that's Alexstraza. We're going to go deeper into her next week. She's in the PTR now. I imagine she's going live next week. Blizzard did say we're going to have an extended PTR with like all the other changes we're going to talk about, like stealth changes, laning changes, that kind of thing. They're going to have it for about 3 weeks, probably the next PTR after this one. They said I think mid-late November. So they want to get a lot of feedback on that. But just for the PTR currently, there's none of those changes are in there. So the other hero we had was Honzo. Now Honzo's pretty cool. He's a cool looking character, but to be honest with you, I didn't like playing him all that much. Did you had a chance playing him, Mystic? What do you think?
I don't know. When I played him, he felt very clunky. Like when you play him, you're like, okay, it's Honzo, and his auto attack speed is super slow. But if you think about it, it's like from Overwatch. You charge up that arrow and then you shoot it. It felt like that. It's very thematic that way. But playing him is just why is his auto attack speed that slow?
I wasn't expecting that at all. And I don't play a ton of Overwatch, so that's probably part of the problem. But also, you watch the cinematic, he's ripping off arrows like nobody's business. And like you said, like it's Honzo, you feel like he should be more like fluid, like ninja-esque, right? In his motions and everything, but it did feel very clunky. Like there's nothing worse than having that like Leoric or like Stukov auto attack speed when you're an assassin. I mean, each one feels a lot more impactful, but you feel like you should be like ripping out those bows, like arrows.
It definitely felt slow, right? It definitely should have been faster.
And I mean, you can proc into speeding it up 50%, but 50%, it's actually a 1.5 second auto attack speed. I double checked on that first. So you can increase it by 50%. So I guess you can get up to like, about a second, but still that's fairly slow. And it doesn't, doesn't feel like you're used to. I mean, maybe like you said, it's more thematic or whatever. And maybe that's the way it's supposed to feel. And also Honzo is a little further out from release. I'm assuming he's the next hero after Alexstraza. So we're probably looking at least a month and a half. Probably, well, I guess closer to a month before we see him.
They said that it's going to be a while, but they also said that stuff will be out before the end of the month or end of the year.
Yeah.
And if Alex, like
we're probably like December. 4
weeks, right?
Yeah. Hopefully it'll change a few things because, like I said, and like Mystic said, he does feel kind of clunky.
Yeah.
So let's go over his abilities here quickly. He's only got one set, so it'll be a little faster to go through them. His Q ability is called Storm Bow. It's fairly spammable. I can't remember exactly what the cooldown was. So you charge it, kind of like Gaz's laser, but you can move while charging it. It took me a while to figure this out because I was like, I thought I had quick cast on, but you press Q, it charges it up, and you press Q again to like release the shot. It does 270 damage, so sizable damage, and the range increases the longer that you channel it. So the dev said that, because there's some questions about how this works and how it feels kind of weird. They've actually implemented a change that didn't make it to BlizzCon floor, where the reactivation for the cast, for if you have cast and release it on, they didn't specifically say about quick cast, is you just hold it down to charge it and you can let go to release the shot, which I think would be better than clicking once and clicking again to shoot it. So we'll have to see if that change makes it through. It's got a significant distance on it. How far would you say, like maybe almost like half a screen maybe, when it's fully charged, Mystic? Give or take.
I don't know if it's even half a screen.
I was
roughly
getting shot
half
from
a screen.
It's got a decent range.
Close.
Scatter Arrow, his W is kind of cool, and I didn't read the text on it before playing, but I quickly realized what it does. So you shoot your arrow, and if it hits a hero, it does some damage, but that's not what you want to do. You want to bank it off of unpathable terrain, because if it hits a wall or structure, anything unpathable, it will split into 5 arrows and bank off like a pool shot. So you got to make sure you simple geometry. You got to figure out what the angles are, right? And you shoot off the wall, try and get into like some area where there's a lot of minions or heroes to get the most effect out of it. So it scatters into 5 arrows. Going along with this, Honzo, when you're playing as him, all of the unpathable terrain structures will actually have like a wireframe around them. So you'll actually see this like white kind of box around a lot of things, so you can tell where the flat wall is to be able to like quickly eyeball the angle. And they did say that they're going to implement this for Junkrat as well as Lucio. So you'll know where the terrain is, you can wall ride off of or bank your grenades off of too, which I think is kind of cool. Lends to a little bit, I guess, clutter on screen, but still, it's a very useful tool. And the other reason that Honzo needs to know about this is because of his D ability called Natural Agility. So you can target unpathable terrain. And I actually had problems figuring out exactly how the targeting works for this. I think you have to target on the back side of the unpathable terrain so it knows where you want to jump to. But you target the unpathable terrain or structure to jump to the other side of it. So you can kind of do what Genji does, but you have to do it over unpathable terrain. And then his E ability, sorry, I skipped to his trait, but his E ability is Sonic Arrow. This is probably what makes him unique. You can fire an arrow a fairly long distance in this really big arc, and it grants vision of that area for 8 seconds. It reveals heroes for 1 second in the area, and if you stick it on a target, which you're probably not going to do because it's a really slow skill shot, it'll actually stick to that target as they're moving. You'll get sight of them for 8 seconds.
I hated that thing so much in the second game we played,
like
because that's when I was on Valera.
Oh yeah, it's a great scouting tool because it's kind of like Tastar's Oracle, but you can throw it a distance. So you don't have to get close to the boss to proc something like that, like a lot of other heroes do, or like a Brightwing Peekaboo, you don't have to do it on a hero.
Right.
You can actually like launch it, like half a screen away or whatever over the wall. You can get a good vision of that area, that boss, or whatever you're looking at. So he's got 2 ultimates. I didn't put the names down, but the first one is where he summons the 2 spirit dragons. I'm sure you've probably seen it before from Overwatch. It's in the cinematic too, where he's fighting Alexstraza. He does his little like Japanese saying, whatever it is, summons the 2 dragons. They come out and they just go out in a massive arrow, just channeling forward. So I found this was, again, another one of his clunky abilities, because it actually casts, probably about 5 range, so like, about a regular standard auto attack range away from him before it starts. Gives a very long telegraphed ability, like you can hear it coming, because he like does his little scream thing, like, and then it starts.
That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, I was like, I really hope no one Japanese is watching this. I really apologize if I offended anyone there. But then it starts up, and it's really easy to get out of the way. It's slow moving, and you hear it coming. So unless you're like stuck in a corridor, you're likely going to get out of it. It does do a huge amount of damage, and it's kind of like Li Ming style, like it's doing it very rapid succession. Every quarter of a second, it does an instance of damage. So that's called Dragon Strike. Thanks for putting that in there. Dragon's Arrow is his other one. It fires a super slow missile that traverses the battleground and explodes upon hitting a hero. Deals AoE damage and stuns in the area of the explosion. The further it travels, the longer the stun, and you get more damage, up to 350 damage in a 2-second stun. So, and apparently it works in threshold distances. So if it's like a medium range, it's like 1.5 second stun. If it's a long range, it's 2 second stun. I don't know what the thresholds exactly are for that, but that's how it works. So Mystic already said he's clunky. We've already said he's got a slow auto attack, which can boost through talents in 1.5 seconds, really slow. Scatter shot. One cool thing that I found out, I can't remember who tweeted this out or put on Reddit, but Nazebo Zombie Wall, they made a change to that, I don't know, maybe about a year ago, to make it unpathable terrain. So if you're actually inside of the Nazebo Zombie Wall, you can fire your scatter shot and it'll bounce off the zombies. So this kind of reminds me of the washing machine trick with Sonya, where she jumps down with her ultimate when she makes the crater, and then Chen would go around in it. So you put Sonya and Chen inside of that, and if Honzo's in there too, you can put the spin cycle and you add a little extra detergent or something, get the extra wash going on. So you can do that. I guess I'm assuming you can probably do that with the crater ability too, but not with most abilities. It has to be unpathable terrain. So what else?
I don't know if either of you tried Dragon's Arrow.
No.
Does it pierce? Do either of you know, or does it stop?
I'm assuming it stops.
It sounds like it does. It's really slow.
It explodes upon hitting a hero. There you go.
But so will it go through a minion until it hits a hero?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
What about a wall?
Yeah,
I think it'll go through walls.
For sure,
too,
it
yeah.
goes through walls. Because I mean, I was near the base and I saw it like sifting by my head, which his ultimates seem very weak compared to like most ultimates. Like it's an AoE stun, yeah, but it's slow. Yeah, it's global, but it's slower than a Taronda Owl, so it's going to be harder to hit things. I mean, you don't see it coming on the minimap, so I guess it's got that going for it, but it just didn't seem like impactful like an ultimate should. One cool talent that I earmarked that I wanted to talk about too. Did you get to try out mounted archery, Mystic?
I don't think I took that
I
talent.
can't remember what level it's at, but if it's when you jump over unpathable terrain, you'll instantly mount and get bonus movement speed. So you could hop over a wall and makes a great escape. It was really fun. I mean, I guess you could do it too, like as like a gap closer, because you can jump over the wall, get near somebody, you're mounted, plus you get, I think it ends up being like 150% move speed. So you can just really catch up to whoever, even if they're mounted too. So it was a really cool ability that I liked, especially it was like a getaway mechanism. So what are your final thoughts on Honzo there, Mystic?
I think that he needs some changes to him to make him fit this game more, because his Q, right, his Stormbow, they made it how it works like in Overwatch, where you charge up the shot and then you shoot it. I don't think it should work like that in this game. I think it should just be, you don't have to charge it, it just goes. I think it's a slow enough skill shot that you can dodge it. So, and not only that, but it's blocked by minions, and structures and whatnot, so that's fine too. Having a low cooldown, I'm okay with that because it's kind of like his auto attack, and with his auto attack being that slow, I feel like it's warranted. Scatter arrow, it's a very interesting skill. It's kind of bad when untalented, but there are a lot of talents that reduces cooldown when it hits stuff, so that's pretty good. Sonic arrow, I feel like they just were lazy on this one. I mean, it's still
like-
a skill, but
No,
like,
it's just straight up. It's like the straight up stealth counter, right? Oh, you took a stealth. We're just gonna take Hanzo.
it's just a big flare.
It only
Right.
it only reveals for 1 second, too. So you don't.
Only 1 second in it. If you, it also controls an area, right? So it had been down, and if you walk into the Sonic, at least when we played it on the floor, if you walked into the area after that, like you could never pass that terrain. I guess is what I'm trying to say, because it would reveal you as soon as you touch the corners.
So is that the place that we see Hanzo taking up, like an assassin with like a little bit of scouting utility? Because that's one problem I had with Hanzo. Like, where would I pick him? Like, who would I pick him
Right.
over? Right. In
think
most
in-
drafts, I can think of other people who do maybe not his job better, but there'd be better selections.
I think in his current iteration, it would be like almost like old Tyrael, where the only thing you would use him for is a sank. And I think in this case, the only thing you would use him for would be the scouting arrow, really, because everybody else does like a lot more damage, and his dragon strike. Because his dragon strike, if you can wombo combo it, it does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except you need something like mosh pit length crowd control in order to pull that off.
I mean, it
too.
hits the entire
you could do
mosh
it with
pit.
that, or you could do it with like follow a ley line.
That's true. Yeah, so I guess he does have the wombo combo potential. And I mean, like, I felt like his damage wasn't that bad. It didn't feel like you were doing a lot of damage, but you ended up kind of getting some out. I'm not sure, like, what did you feel like his damage output was at the end of the day? Like I said, slow auto attacks, you feel like you're not doing much, but I guess you kind of can be at the end of the day, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so let's move along to probably what LiQuiud would like to talk a little bit about. Particularly because I seem to remember we had a debate several months ago about stealth in the game. It was an official debate that I lost, saying stealth is not healthy for the game, and LiQuiud agreed that or said it was what it was, and most people agreed with him. However, I guess Blizzard doesn't agree with you that stealth was in a good place.
No.
I-
We didn't
I-
argue that stealth was in a good place. We argued that stealth was good for the game.
That's why I changed what I said. They decided it wasn't in a place they wanted it to be, so they've changed stealth a little bit. A lot, I guess.
a lot of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of it. A little bit, but a big change in how it'll affect how you play stealth heroes, because suddenly instead of that really little tiny shimmer that they called the eye test, it's going to be pretty obvious when there's a stealth character near you. You're going to see their outline. You're going to be able to tell which hero it is. You can see before and after videos they've got online about it, and you can tell the hero's there. It doesn't
It's-
take a strained eye to catch it anymore.
It's no bueno.
Yeah. Well,
I-
depends which way you think about it. I love the change.
I'm sure you do because you hate stealth. Like, I hate the change. Okay. We talked a little bit about this at Con Before the Storm, not specifically about stealth, but we were talking about specialists and why we don't see specialists in pro play, and we have a similar problem here with stealthies. If you make stealth strong enough, or at least good enough to fit at pro play, you run into a problem where decent players in any league are going to dumpster bads, right? And that immediately creates a bad gaming experience. If you're not good at dealing with stealthies, you're going to have a bad gaming experience currently. That's why they nerfed Valeera into the ground. That's why Nova's not that strong. That's why, like, all of those things that they rolled back and took away power of people that were stealthies, that's why they did that, right? It was too powerful as it was. Valeera could come out of nowhere and stun you and one-shot you, and you were dead, and that's no fun to anybody except for the Valeera player. Nobody ever thinks of the Valeera player. But, so I guess...
Nobody wants to think about the Valeera player.
Right? I know, it's such bullshit. Anyway, so, like, I played Valeera. The teleport was not I couldn't put my finger on why I didn't think the teleport was good enough. And then this morning on Reddit, somebody did here's why the Valeera buffs are really nerfs. And I read it and I'm like, this is exactly what I was feeling.
Let's take 2 steps back quickly, because we didn't mention that to counterbalance the fact that stealthy heroes are easier to see, they'll receive buffs. So that's what LiQuiud's talking about. Valeera actually got a buff, and the buffs that she received, and we'll talk about Samuro, Nova, and Zeratul in a bit, is that there's an increased silence on her, whatever the engage ability when she's stealth that silences is. The stun ability that comes out of stealth, the stun's reduced, but it's also added a blind. And if she's in stealth for more than 3 seconds, she can teleport. And I have no idea what that means, because I didn't play her, but I'm sure LiQuid can talk to that.
So the teleport is 100% more than their range is currently.
So is it just like when you use the ability, it'll teleport her? Or is there like an activatable?
No, it's when you use the ability, it will teleport you. But, all right, so the range on... I'm going to make up numbers right now because I don't remember the numbers. I just remember it's really close. The range on her openers were all like 3 or 4 range. Actually, I think it was 2 or 3 range because it was melee range. So if I increase that, I'm going from 2 to 3 to 4 to 6. 6 is not a lot of range. 6 is not teleport range. Like I can almost reach out and touch you, right? So, it's very clunky. Valeera is not buffed enough to cover the stealth change.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
Does she still have the death from above talent, or is that just taken out?
Death from above is not. Yes, she still has a talent, but that's not when you're stealth. Death from above is your finisher.
Oh, that's right. So it's when you're out of stealth.
It's not your opener. It's your finisher.
Wait, what's the talent that makes her teleport? Is the one that I'm looking for, actually.
Yeah, that's Death from above. You teleport behind them and you finish them. Yes.
Wait, so she still has that talent, but she teleports?
Yes, but that's the finisher, not the opener. So the opener is what you do in stealth. The finisher is what you do out of stealth. Right?
I thought it was the opener for some reason. Wasn't it the Q opener that did the teleport?
Yeah, it was. Like, as of right now.
LiQuid, aren't you a Valeera player? Shouldn't you know this stuff?
You guys are wrong. I'm telling you that right now. I'm just pulling it up so that I can like triple check it, because now you guys are making me second guess myself, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not right.
While LiQuid is second guess, let's talk about the other stealth characters and what happened to them, because they all receive buffs. Zeratul is the hero they're the most happy with, probably because you see Zeratul at all levels of play, including professional. So Vorpal Blade is now baseline level 1, so that's where you can hit your little 1 button to pop by and like teleport to the person you just finished auto attacking. He also got some new heroic that replaces his Shadow Assault. Is that what it's called? It's called Might of the Nerazim. And this duplicates one of your basic abilities. So it might not sound strong, but you can add something to the combo chain. And I'm sure Zeratul mains are probably all like, oh man, I get an extra blink. I can blink twice, or like I can like cleave twice or throw 2 bombs out. Maybe you can spec into getting an extra bomb, so you can throw 3 bombs out. I don't know. Like I feel like the combo potential here has been increased. Question is, right. Void Prison, it's a pretty strong ultimate. I don't know if people are going to be stuck.
I got a couple things to say about this. One, it not only does that, but it gives you the passive of what is right now Combo Blade, I think it is called, or Combo Slash, right. Which is every time you use an ability and then you auto attack, it gives extra damage to that ability. So it gives you that as well. Okay,
so this is like even crazier into the combo. I can see this almost getting nerfed if they're worried about like, being able to like one shot like Diablos with this. If you can create a combo chain that's long enough to do something like that. Samuro got some changes as well. Interesting changes too. So his clones, you can actually press the D button and target a clone to swap to that clone. So you kind of get your Illusion Master somewhat baseline. I'm not sure what they're doing with the ultimates in this case, because you can't control your clones. You can just swap to whichever one you want. So it really increases this 3-card Monty that you always have minigame as playing a Samuro. And the other cool thing is too, when you actually activate your clones, it's not just random which one the real one is. You can actually pick, it's whichever one's closest to your mouse cursor when you press the button. So if you want to be further away from those siege giants when you proc it, you can do that and you make sure you're not the one tanking it. Or even just when you pop into the battle, you can do that too, and you can swap it around. Like, I'm not sure what the cooldown is on this, but pretty cool. And they moved a lot of the damage out of the illusions and into Samuro himself, so that the illusions don't hit as hard, but Samuro hits harder. And slight little other mental note here too is that those illusions don't get one-shotted by towers anymore, and that will become obvious why that is when we talk about how the Tamara ammunition has changed.
So, yeah, I was remembering incorrectly, so I'm gonna go ahead and apologize for that. Yes, it did give you the 6 range. It's not 7 range; it's 6 range on ambush. So if you get death from above at 13, I think is where that's at. Potentially, yeah, potentially you could have like a huge amount of range. The question is like,
well, ambush also puts you behind them too, right?
Right.
So
yeah, I was just wondering if they took that out because it seemed like they made it baseline, but if they still had the talent, it's like, why would you need the talent if it's already baseline?
Well, the reality of this is we're not going to find out for like a month too. A lot of this, I'm sure, is going to change.
Well, no, it should be on PTR next week.
Yeah, more what I meant is like we won't find out what the final bit's going to be until after that PTR period even. So who knows what they're going to change. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of balancing, especially these stealth heroes that are going to be required.
And Dorsch, I am 100% Valera main. Better recognize.
A poor ETC is just shedding a tear there. So Nova got some changes too. She's got they said modified Snipe Master talent. I didn't get a chance to play as Nova, so I don't know exactly what modified means. But Snipe Masters, where if you hit a target with Snipe, the next one's going to be successfully more powerful.
Modified as in nerfed Snipe Master.
Yeah, nerfed Snipe Master. She also gets 15% movement speed buff while she's stealth, which is a nice quality life change for Novas there. And she doesn't have to wait to go into stealth. She has an activatable ability to turn stealth on when she wants. I'm sure she'll go into it automatically, but you have the option to turn it on at a moment's notice now too.
Ranged Valera.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, so some other cool things. And one thing that a lot of people were actually really excited about was the MMR performance-based matchmaking. So I've been on record as saying I think matchmaking has been great, but apparently they want to make it even better. I think matchmaking has been great.
Seriously?
Yeah.
You think matchmaking's great?
I do. I think that it's very rare that I get a stomp on one side, my side, or the other teams when I'm in quick match, when I'm in run ranked, when I'm in Hero League. I think that Blizzard's come a long way, and I think that's been avoided. Like, obviously, you get stomps and stuff, but I feel like it's not because of skill parity necessarily. It's more just because, like, maybe someone was on, like, a character they didn't play a lot of, or, like, that comes out throughout it.
Interesting.
But
very interesting.
So MMR, performance-based matchmaking. Let's talk about what that is, and then we can comment on it a little bit. So the way this works is, and this way that Blizzard presented it, is they'll look at your performance, your individual performance in a game, and based on some statistics and how you do in the game, they'll say, okay, you did better than the rest of your team. You shouldn't be punished as much for that loss. Or you did better than your team and you won. Let's give you an extra little bonus adjustment there. So it's basically what I'm assuming will work like your personal adjustment when you win or lose, except you'll get a positive or minus depending on how you actually perform in the match. And it sounds like it's a fairly complicated system. Like if you're Illidan, they said, okay, if you're Illidan, we want to see you doing damage, killing a lot of people, taking a lot of camps. So they'll have like certain performance indicators for each hero. And if you do well in those performance indications, you'll actually get an adjustment. This isn't going to mean like you can lose games and still like go up in the ladder. You still have to win games to go up, but it'll make it either faster or slower depending on how you do, and ultimately get people to their true place.
It means you'll play with people that are playing at your level though. So if you're stuck, like MMR hell almost goes away at that point.
Well, hopefully.
Because if you're a good player and you're stuck in Bronze League, but you're playing consistently good, but the rest of your team sucks, you will eventually get to the point where you're playing with better people that are stuck in Bronze League.
Yeah, it helps progression because in that case, every win you might get 250 points. Every loss you may only lose like 150. So net, even if you're 50-50 win rate, you're still going to be climbing up. It does have the negative effect for people who are playing out of their league too, I imagine. Again, we don't know the exact details of this, but I'm assuming you'll probably rank down faster too. So it's something you got to take with a grain of salt, and we'll see how it goes. And this affects your MMR too. So a quick match on ranked where you don't have points, this just affects your MMR to get you to that place, your true MMR, I guess if you want to call it that, a lot faster. So one thing...
This was one of the changes Caldor was most excited about when I talked to him Saturday.
And people other than Caldor might argue that, hey, this is going to lead to gaming of the system, right? Let's say You know the game's lost. You're Illidan. You know, hey, I know because they told me at BlizzCon, if I take camps, I won't lose as many points. I'm going to let you guys defend the core. I'm going to go take a couple more camps, right? So there might be situations like that. I don't know how complex their algorithms are to be able to catch things like that, but I think that's the counterpoint to this being a good thing is like, hey, now that if it's especially if they're transparent, which is the thing, like you almost don't want them being transparent. They're being a little bit too transparent about it, which is kind of something you wouldn't expect me to say. But you gotta be careful because if you get people gaming the system, you can lead to poor game experience as well.
So I haven't seen anyone say that anywhere that they're concerned about that.
I have, and I've heard people talk about it on podcasts.
Okay, I'm concerned about that.
Okay.
And it's something I'm concerned as well. And you know what, LiQuiud? If you haven't heard it, you're hearing it here now, sir.
I mean, well, no, I could tell Mystic thought that because he was nodding his head like, yeah, this is a serious issue. I hadn't read that yet. But, like, seriously, BlizzCon week, I didn't read any of Reddit at all, like, until last night, I think was the first time I opened Reddit. And I didn't go back and read all the stuff I missed. So I'm sure I missed stuff about people saying that.
You know what? It's easy to be critical. That's part of our job, right? To, like, be the devil, play the devil's advocate. And say, like, okay, well, this sounds great, and hopefully it will be great. But here's where we think there might be issues that crop up. Hopefully they won't. We don't know. We don't know what Blizzard's algorithm is to calculate this. Like, yes, they say Illidan's need to take camps, need to do this, but maybe the last 2 minutes of the game, if he's off taking camp, not defending the core, you get penalized. Who knows?
Right.
They've got a lot of game data, like thousands of games that they're plugging into their system. They say that they run this in parallel with like the live system so they can gather data, see how game matches would progress. And I'm sure there's a lot of like people watching replays, comparing it to like what the system's telling them, and they're refining it. And they'll be able to catch these things and refine their algorithm going forward. It's just something that I'd be concerned about, but I've got confidence that Blizzard will overcome that challenge, technologically speaking.
I like Dorsh's point. It'll be better those people that are like GG after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
At least they'll find something to do for the next 5 minutes, 15 minutes in the game.
There's great ramifications to this too. People aren't going to go feed. Like if you feed, you're going to get a big negative indicator. Like you don't want to. It gives you the opportunity, like, okay, you want to still perform well as long as you can throughout the game. Try for that win. Try for those good stats. That's the other thing. Like you don't want to be like, well, I'm just attacking the tank because I want to get like more damage out or whatever. Like there's those opportunities. But at the end of the day, if you're playing suboptimally, you're probably going to lose. So that's going to hurt you in the long run. At least that's the hope. So, well, I guess we'll have to see how things shake out. But I'm optimistic, but casually pessimistic at the same time.
All right, I want to answer a question from Schizo in chat real quick before you go to the next one. I suspect that leaving the game will actually give you a larger penalty to both your MMR and your ranked points because of that.
So Cameron,
I was also gonna say one thing. What if it shows that tanks that have a large amount of deaths are actually good, so that people start dying on tanks more?
No, that'll never be the case. That'll never be the case. If you're a tank, please don't die. You should be alive.
Even if you're Leoric. I mean, you can die a little bit more than the other tanks, but still, please don't just feed. Oh, I'm Leoric. I'm supposed to die, right?
Yeah, rip the Leoric soaking up tower shots or what is it? Keep shots or something and killing the keep while racking up like 15 deaths.
But I got the keep down, man.
It was
Catapults
worth.
still don't spawn.
So one other cool change, and I was surprised I didn't even notice it when I first started playing on the show floor, is that the camera height has been increased. At least you can zoom out further than you used to be able to. It's not drastically different, but it's different enough that you can see a lot more of the battleground. It's the kind of thing where you might not notice it at first, but it does add to that quality of life. So you'll be able to see that Chromie hitting you from off the screen, or that Genji before he dashes into you. Did you guys notice this, I guess, since you started playing? Because to me, it was subtle enough that I had to think about it after the fact to think about what my screen size was like.
I kind of saw it when I first looked at it. I was like, oh yeah, it's a bit bigger. I mean, but also I'm playing on this huge computer screen that I don't usually play on because of all these really awesome peripherals at BlizzCon. But yeah, it was noticeable. But then eventually, you just get used to it.
You definitely adjusted fast. The problem I had was I play 21 by 9 right now, so it felt smaller, but I could tell I was high, like the camera was higher.
Yeah, I wonder if do you think it's gonna make skill shots harder to hit if you're zoomed out further because there's less of a hitbox like on your screen in terms of mouse sensitivity and everything. I mean, I feel like it's so fractionally smaller that it wouldn't make that much of a difference in like the gain you get in the sight.
Just
far out.
just zoom in.
Yeah, I guess you're right. If you don't like it, you could change it. Right?
Just zoom in.
Zoom in.
Oh, so is that the trick? If I'm horrible at hitting skill shots, I zoom in all the way.
No, that means you need to get good.
Okay, getting good is the next thing on my checklist. Then get good. So other in-game change is voice chat is coming. I mean, it's already in the Blizzard app, but now it's actually going to be in the game client. Kind of cool. It's off by default, but you can opt in the middle of a match, and you can do party or team chat. So suddenly, you can get in Hero League, you can actually communicate with everybody, which I think is amazing on a lot of levels. But the pessimist in me says, well, suddenly if you get someone salty on voice comms, that's quickly going to make me hit that mute button. What do you guys think of this change?
I'll let you go first, LiQuiuD.
So I was gonna say, like, when I first heard the news, I was cautiously optimistic. I think having voice chat could be an advantage. Oh, it's definitely an advantage. I shouldn't say it could be an advantage. It's definitely an advantage to have voice chat. It's definitely an advantage to be able to talk to your teammates, and honestly, they made it very easy to turn on or turn off, right? It's dead simple to click the button and go from team chat to party chat, like super simple, right? The implementation seemed like it was pretty good. I think the issues we had that night were people's headsets just having been beaten down, right? I mean, like you get thousands of people running through this area, putting the headset on, taking the headset off, it's bound to break. The issue I think that exists are so Ferociously Steph had a long tweet. I don't want to call it a tweet storm because I think everything she said was correct, but had a great deal.
Are you
of
indicating
tweets
that tweet storms are often not correct?
No, I'm indicating that sometimes tweet storms are looked at negatively.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't negative at all. This was very positive. But her point was that women and minorities a lot of times have issues around the internet itself, right? Just dealing with harassment. And with voice chat, there is no like your choice is now I either play a competitive game at a disadvantage or I open myself up to the possibility of harassment. Is that a good choice that you want your player base to make?
That's a very good point.
I mean, now at the same time, Yip Boss is saying her in-game name is Ferociously Steph or Steph. They definitely know that she's a woman, which I totally get, right? I'm not like she's probably not a great example just because like it's very clear, but there are a number of people that it's not clear that they may be women and maybe they don't want to deal with that, right? That's my concern. That's always been my concern is like harassment becomes easier if everybody's on voice.
The other question, I guess, is harassment more or less likely? Because I feel like people are more likely to type toxic things as opposed to like say them. Like it's almost like you're in between being totally anonymous and being face to face with somebody. And if you're face to face with someone, like that's the reason that the internet's full of trolls is because you have the anonymity. Whereas if you're talking and you're actually saying something and someone can like talk back to you, you might be less likely to say something. I know that's not necessarily like a defense for any of the toxicity that might happen. I'm just saying I wonder if it's going to happen less because of that. People likely get less toxic. Like even when I queued up for Team League, I go into like, the Team League chat channel. I'm like, oh, is anyone on Discord? We chat on Discord. It's always congenial. But that being said, I know there's trolls lurking in many corners
Right.
of the internet who may, be just total douchebags and not respect people at all, and just feel free to like slam down people, harass people online, which is obviously not cool. No matter if you're like, no matter your gender or anything, right? Like it's just
Right.
like just people are just unfortunately like that too. So I mean, I guess the nice thing is you can always turn it off, but like LiQuiuD said, you're going to be at a disadvantage if the other team's all communicating on voice comms, your team's not, because you don't feel like it's a safe place, or someone's being harassing on voice comms. Like you're at more of a disadvantage suddenly. What are your thoughts?
Right, and that
no, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna add that's my concern, right? Like, I totally get it. I totally agree that voice chat is needed. There just needs to be, like, people just need to be nice to each other. Can we just go with that? Like, seriously, if you want to be a dick outside of a game. People go to a game to have fun and like chill with other people. Like, have fun in the game. Go be a dick, to somebody else.
Yeah, especially when you've got limited game time, assuming that maybe you've got a job or you go to school, you've got like a short period of time to unwind in the evenings or whenever it happens to be. Last thing you want to do is deal with that kind of crap, right? And you want it to be a pleasurable, enjoyable experience. It's a game. Like that's part of what the definition of a game is something that you
Right.
enjoy to do. So it's unfortunate that has to be a concern. It's funny, voice chat's one of those things. Everyone's like, we need voice chat, we need voice chat, we need voice chat. And then all of a sudden we get something announced and it's like, okay, well, whoa, voice chat. Is this a good idea, Blizzard?
Right.
Are you sure you know what you're doing
Do
here?
we actually want this?
So, I mean, we'll have to see how it shakes out. I'm sure Blizzard's going to be looking at it very closely and listening to a lot of the community feedback as well.
I'm going to say the same thing about WoW Classic as well.
It was very similar, was it? Yeah, even playing PUBG, first thing I did, I was like, oh my God, just like obscenities left, right, and center if you have voice chat on. Turned it off. Didn't want to deal with that at all. Anyhow, let's move along to something more fun to talk about. Laning updates. So, I mean, it doesn't sound very fun, but it is, because there's a lot of changes to how things are going to be in lane. Blizzard has come out and said, we want to make sure the laning phase feels more impactful. And they've come up with some changes to try and achieve this goal. First off, this is probably the more controversial of the bunch too. Regen globes are, instead of 6-second timers, going to have 4-second timers. After the 4 seconds is up, there'll be 4 seconds where it's a neutral globe where anyone can pick it up. So you can more hotly contest these globes. Globe gathering talents are going to be more impactful. You got to make sure you fight for those globes. You potentially can get twice as many from in lane. You could potentially get denied twice as many if you're not successfully winning out your lane as well. Towers are going to have infinite ammo. At first I was like, I have no idea what I think about this. What they want to do is they want to get rid of the strategy where you just kill the minions, back off, they soak some tower shots, kill the minions, soak some tower shots. Eventually all the ammo is gone and those minions are going to take the fort without you even having to like go up and do damage to the fort. What they're saying is winning the lane should be more rewarding in that you should aggressively have to push that lane, do damage to the towers yourself, not rely on the minions, and actually get some meaningful damage in there.
Right.
So this is going to be an interesting change to see how that progresses, but this might get rid of things like I think I heard Dunk Train talking about it a little bit, because one of the questions was, well, does this kill a 4-man rotation on some smaller maps? Because generally what you did is you clear one lane, clear the other lane. If you clear them faster, you're pushing your minions to their walls faster, they're draining tower shots, and you can potentially win the lane pretty hard doing that. His argument, and he's saying at the pro level, generally everything gets cleaned up on both sides before they even get to the tower, so it's a non-factor and you're still going to see the rotations like that. But at lower levels, if one team's seriously outlaning the other team, you might end up getting that situation. So maybe the 4-man rotate isn't as powerful as it was before in terms of like just walking over the other team, which I guess is good because it puts the power back in the defending team in this case. Okay, so the forts now have true sight as well, which means they can spot that pesky little Valera sneaking up on that Abathur while she's in stealth. This isn't for the towers.
BS.
This is just for the forts.
That's BS.
So if you got a Murky Egg, if you're Abathur, you can feel a lot safer sitting, hugging that tower. Like cozy, warm feeling you get while you're bundled up next to that tower in your pajama pants, Abathur. They also did take out on some maps, I'm not sure which ones or what the ramifications of this are, some of the standalone towers. They're saying they're kind of in weird spots. They don't really add much to it. They didn't feel very impactful. So they're taking those standalone towers away, I'm not sure if it's in all maps or some maps, and transitioning that power to the fort. So, interesting. What do you think? Obviously, LiQuiuD, you don't like this change?
No, I like most of those changes. I don't like the true sight change.
I love it. Anything that gimps stealth, I'm a fan.
I know you do. That's where you and I disagree on the stealth mechanic, which is fine. I don't like the true sight. I like everything else that was mentioned. I'm down with.
Well, a couple things we forgot to mention about the stealth mechanic too, I guess, because we just kind of got derailed a little bit, is what they're planning on changing. They said they're planning on it. It's not 100% yet, but if you stop moving when you're in stealth mode, you'll go completely invisible, like no shimmer, no nothing. So that lends a little bit more strategy there. And also to keep in mind too, like even though people can see you, they can't see you on the mini map. So you do have that opportunity to roam around the map if people aren't looking in the spot that you're on. They can't see you on the mini map, so it gives you that extra strategic advantage. Anyhow, Misty, what do you think about these laning changes?
I'm not gonna lie. When I first played HOTS and realized that there was a champion or a hero like Nova in the game, I'm like, so where's the true sight? Like, because I remember playing in Warcraft 3, right? There's the true sight upgrade for your towers, and they can spot stealthy. So I initially thought that one standalone tower, the reason it was there is because it was a true sight tower, but it wasn't, to my dismay. But
not only is that standalone tower not
you.
getting true sight, it also got removed.
Anyway, I feel like the laning changes, I would like it to go more or less rotation, and I'd like it to go more here's your lanes, so that you can actually fight the person that you're laning up against and maybe build an advantage that way. That's how I'd like it to go, but I still feel like rotation will still be strong, and with the tower changes, I feel like snowballing will be a lot easier for the team that's winning, because since it's a lot harder to take towers, right? It means that if you're winning already, you can just take towers a lot easier, and then the team that falls further and further behind, the other team that they can't even take like maybe the outer towers or walls because they don't ever run out of ammo, and they have to mount some sort of offense, right? But it's hard against a team that's up a talent or something like that.
Right.
Do you think this is a nerf to the pushing specialists, like your Asmodans, your Zagaras? Because now you can't just spam all your abilities, get a whole bunch of minions in lane, let them push, and then back off. You actually have to more accompany your little army that you've created to get meaningful damage on towers and structures.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think specialists with this change, like specialists can still push, right? They can still like kill towers and stuff. It's just not as easy. They can't just drain all the ammo and then just go to town. Like Asmo just puts up a bunch of minions and then just lasers the thing down as it's out of ammo. Now I feel like they might transition that role to like a siege assist kind of thing. All right, so people that summon a bunch of minions like Asmo or Zagara, right? They're there and they put down a bunch of minions just to tank the tower shot, so your team is safer in killing the structures instead of just draining all the ammo and pushing it by themselves.
What about Sylvanas? I feel like she just got a lot more powerful in terms of her map mechanic now, that she can disable towers and structures. In ammo, doesn't matter if it's out of ammo, doesn't matter if it's full ammo, like she disables them regardless. So do you think she's become more powerful, more contested hero now?
My opinion on Sylvanas is that, yes, she did get more powerful, but like I think it's more that this other specialist got weaker, because now that the towers don't run out of ammo, their power just like went down, right? And then Sylvanas is like, she's not affected by whether or not they have ammo or not. She just goes and shoots it and disables it, right? And just the fact that the towers are stronger makes her value go a little bit higher. So like she's still up there. She didn't go down.
We also got some changes or planned changes to how objective timers are going to work. They want to keep things more consistent from map to map. So they're going to have 2 threshold times, 1 minute and 30 seconds or 3 minutes for when the first objective spawns. The way they broke it down is that the 1 minute and 30 second objectives are for the ones that keep you in or near lanes, like your Dragon Shires, for instance, where you're more or less staying in lane during the objective. Whereas out of lane objectives like a Cursed Hollow will start spawning at 3 minutes. These aren't too much of a deviation, but at least they'll keep things consistent. Then also you'll get a 30-second warning announcement, which is, I believe, what you get on Volskaya. But now that gives you a little bit more time to be like, okay, I got 30 seconds. I can take this camp and still report. You don't have to necessarily like sit there and time everything as perfectly as you used to have to, and like mental note what time you're at and when the last objective was taken, because things become a bit more predictable and telegraphed. So, I mean, not much to say here. This is going to change some strategy somewhat, I guess, in terms of like, okay, you don't take that Merc camp at 2 minutes now on Cursed Hall, you take it at 2:30 or something like that, or at least you can adjust the timings for your mercenary camps according to how the new maps are going to be laid out.
I'm honestly surprised, like, when I learned, way back when, that Cursed Hollow, it's like 10 seconds on the objective thing. It tells you 10 seconds before, and it's like, hey, the objective is spawning in 10 seconds, here you go.
For like
Right.
a random spawn too. Like even if at least if you knew it was a specific time exactly, then you can be like, okay, I need to be ready to get to the tribute in 10 seconds or within 10 seconds of being announced. But it's like you don't know exactly when it's going to be announced, which did make things like taking mercenary camps or like knowing when you should start, like maybe like kind of positioning yourself closer to the mid lane so you can react more accordingly, like when you should be doing that. But now it's like, hey, 30 seconds. You can get more or less anywhere in the map. Maybe you can even hearth back and still report on time. Like you've got those options open to you.
Yeah.
So we got some more UI changes they announced too. One of the great quality of life things that like it comes up a lot, and you're like, okay, who's in that cocoon? Who just got mod? Who's in the Dragon Knight? Like you like looking at names, trying to like figure out who on the score screen is that like Creator X or whatever the name of the person is. Well, now there's a little icon that'll pop over their heads, and you're like, oh, there's a Zagar in that cocoon. I know that because there's a little icon above her head. I don't have to ask the whole team or like panically try and look at the score screen to see who's missing or like see who was missing from the field and do the math. It's just easy enough to see now. So that's a nice little quality of life change. Mystic, they're also adding a target info panel when you click on a target. You want to talk about that? Because I believe it's in League of Legends currently.
Yeah, in League of Legends, they have an info panel in the top left when you click on something. So when you click on a minion, you can look at the top left and it'll tell you like their health, right? So you could be like, okay, I click on this minion or something and I see it has 165 health. Or you click on a jungle objective or camp objective, and then you say, okay, so it has roughly 350 health. So now, because you can do this, you can see like, hey, my ability does this much damage. He has 0 armor. So basically, this ability will deal that much damage when it hits. And it allows for, more setup of things like, hey, it was calculated. It can actually be calculated now instead of gauging like, okay, so he has like a bar and a half. I think he has about this much health. My skill does roughly this much damage. So yeah, I think it'll kill him. And then they'll end up living with like 5 health or something. And it's like, oh, so close.
So
but now...
The difference between like you and like me, LiQuid, and like the rest of the world is that you're making those snap decisions, like and making those calculations in like fractions of a second. Whereas I'm like, I don't have time to like do those calculations. I just want to kill that guy, right? So, anyways, sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, I was basically done. Like that's how it's going to be more often than not now.
So do you find it's like useful at all? Like, do you think you use it quite a bit, or is it going to add to the screen clutter because it does take up more space in the UI?
I mean, to say that it doesn't add to screen clutter is, not true, because it does. But I feel like it's a really good addition to the game because of the information that it provides. Like now you can see like the numbers of how much health and mana that they have. If you have studied a hero, then you can know like, hey, he only has 45 mana, which means he can cast this ability once and then he's done and then he has nothing else. So
cool. And does this work for like structures and stuff as well? Like, so can you click on a structure and see like how powerful those tower shots are? I mean, I don't think they specifically said that, but is that how it works in League?
Yeah, in League you can click on structures. In Heroes, I'm not sure because they didn't say whether or not you could click on structures. It just said you could click on like heroes and I think minions. So
yeah, I feel like that'd be kind of useful because if you're like, hey, that tower's got like 200 health, you can know like if you're it's like 2 auto attacks or whatever, you can figure it out if you've got to quickly dive the fort and get out what abilities you need to use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we also have some updates that are impending on mercenaries too. One thing which I think is kind of crazy, apparently this was in the game I think before I played it, or before I knew enough to notice, siege camp shots will now be able to be dodged while they're being taken. You can dodge siege giants when they're throwing their rocks or whatever they're throwing now after they've been taken, like when they're in lane, but you can't do it when you're capturing the camp. But it looks like you're going to be able to soon. So theoretically, anyone will be able to dodge every shot and take a camp, some faster than others, obviously. But this makes a lot of people more able to take down those siege camps. This is an interesting change, I think. Is this for the better, for the worse? You gonna be soloing camps as ETC there, LiQuiud?
Yeah. Sure. Maybe Valera. I mean, just saying.
I think this is great for gray mains. You know, usually you'd be doing that, you'd lose half your health before you cap the camp, but suddenly you can do this, and if you're paying attention enough, you can get through unscathed. You don't have to worry about hearthing back after you take that camp or using your healer's resources to do it. Night camps and Hellbats also got changed a little bit too, and it says like that they're planning on changing maybe some more mercenaries or tuning them a little bit. These are the ones they announced. The night camps will now generate an aura around the caster minion that gives increased spell armor aura to the whole group. So it's a little bit harder to clear those mercenary camps, or I guess cap them too, as like your Kael'thas's, as your Li Mings, any spell casters, because of that spell armor aura. Hellbats will also debuff armor when attacking a hero now, and this is stackable. So if the Hellbats are attacking you and they're stacking this armor debuff on you, I'm not sure how high it stacks, you gotta be a bit more careful because they can be more dangerous in lane, or I guess when you're capping them as well. So one other thing they announced too is that they're going to be doing more staggering of content. Like currently, they do big dumps of content. They'll be like, hey, we got this event. We're dumping a new hero on you, 3 reworks, a new map, a bunch of skins, right? And then you'll be like, okay, 3 weeks, 4 weeks until you get the next dump of stuff. Maybe smaller dumps at times, maybe some of them are bigger dumps. But they said they want to stagger it out. So maybe we'll get a hero release this week, release with like the hero skins or whatever. Then maybe next week we'll get that Chromie rework or Lily rework or whatever it is. And they'll kind of stagger things along so podcasts like us have stuff to talk about every week. Instead of being like, oh, hey, the patch dropped today with like 20 hero changes and everything. It'll spread it out a little bit over time. So that's a podcaster-centric change there, right?
Something like that.
Sure.
Blizzard thinking of all the media.
I think that's little guys. Lily has got a rework that's in the PTR. We're not going to talk about a lot today because we're going to be focusing on it next week. But Mystic, do you want to talk about like what the major changes are to Lily that are incoming and live on the PTR right now?
The major changes I'd like to say is she had a level 20 talent called Kung Fu Hustle, and basically they made that her passive now. So whenever she gets hit, her basic abilities cool down a lot faster. And what this means is that as Lily, you want to kind of take as little damage as possible, but still take damage. And then, you'll get your cooldowns up much quicker. The other change that they made is to Jug of 1,000 Cups. They made it so that you can cancel it. And now the cooldown refunds itself based on how many cups you used, which I think is really cool because originally it's like you use it and you can't stop it to do anything. Like if an Illidan comes in, you're using Jug of 1,000 Cups, you can't stop it to blind him or anything. You're just sitting there healing and going, I hope he doesn't die before my cups runs out. But now you can cancel it and just use other abilities as well and have it be on a shorter cooldown. The other changes around her other talents were they basically made her more mechanically intensive, or I guess not mechanic. It's they added some more intricacies to her talents. So it's now you actually have to think about some of this stuff instead of just spamming that Q button.
I can't remember what caster it was. I think it might have been Immune, it might have been someone else. They played a game, I think even in Hero League, where they're like, okay, I'm going to play Lily, and I'm literally not going to use my fingers to hit the keyboard. I'm just going to use my head to mash the buttons. And they mashed the keyboard against their head on stream, and they did okay as Lily. So you're telling me it's going to take a little bit more dexterity on the keyboard to play Lily now?
I'm going to say that a good Lily, still you could just do that and be completely fine. A great Lily might require a little bit more.
Oh, geez. Lily mains are going to be coming out of the woodwork left, right, and center. So again, we'll go over her talents in detail. It's not live yet. It's on the PTR, but you can check it out on the PTR. But they'll be live, assumingly next week, along with Alexstraza. So BlizzCon didn't just have a bunch of announcements. I think there was a tournament or something that was happening there. Wasn't there?
Was there a little tournament? Oh my god!
I think you may have been on camera a few times during this tournament because of your seat placement, which means it's time for LiQuid's Esports Corner.
Hey yo, how you doing? It's time for LiQuid's Esports Corner. That's right. And you're gonna want to stick around for this.
Take it away, LiQuid.
All right, so just a little bit to go over. I'm not gonna go in depth on everything. We did have BlizzCon last week, which was awesome. NA team showed up. They did a pretty good job, all things considered, but were not able to make it into the deep rounds. We did have MVP Black beating Fnatic 3-1 in the finals. That was amazing to watch in person. That was so much fun. I wish it would have went 3-2, but that's okay. It was still a great time to sit in the audience for that. Also, we got Caldor's thoughts on roster apocalypse. I think that was 2 days ago. Link is in the show notes. It was an interesting read. I do believe that Romedy is going to write an article. They may not completely agree with those thoughts, but we'll see how that comes out. And then roster apocalypse is upon us. So far, we've had 4 NA players LiQuid, obviously he's retired. Tiger JK and Talking Trees have both left Space Station Gaming, and Prismaticism is now a free agent off of Roll20. I expect more news to drop over the next week. The roster release deadline is this week, and then the roster signing deadline is next week. So we'll see how that goes. I know Udall's also casting some games. I don't remember. I saw a tweet about that. I'm sure somebody in chat might mention. Oh, thank you. That Thursday he's doing some games. I know it's you, man. I know. Also, yes, to answer another question, Dorsh in chat just asked if it was us chanting USA. That was all Bags. Bags was like, dude, I'm totally going to get them to chant USA, USA. And the whole audience started casting USA. And Daz sitting right next to me was going, and Canada. And Canada. Like the whole time. I
was thinking, hey, go NA sounds kind of like USA, and it's more accurate because especially for Roll20, I didn't know this, but someone was saying that 2 of their roster players were Canadian, and I'm like, well, guys, it's not just USA, it's North America. So I know we're the small country to the north, and most of our country is just trees and wilderness. However, we do have a bit of a representation there, so it did feel kind of odd. But hey, I couldn't bring myself to chant it, but I can understand why people did.
Right. So it was fun. I had a great time. I had an absolute blast, and I'm looking forward to what happens with the rosters. I'm dying to know.
So if anyone didn't get a chance to watch the games and you'd suggest a game or a series to watch, LiQuid,
oh, that's tough.
What are your top games that you think you should? And there might be spoilers ahead here, people, so just bear with us.
That's really tough because a lot of them were actually really good. Damn. Why,
well, obviously the
finals were great. You got to watch the finals, right? You just absolutely have to watch the finals. The
other game that jumped out at me as you might want to watch it for the wrong reasons, is the final game of Roll20s for the season, where it was game 4. Anyways, it was the deciding game.
Game 3.
Game 3. They were down 2-1. Wait a minute. Was this best? It was best of 3. Okay, it was best of 3. So it was 1-1. It was game 3, and they took Lost Vikings into Zeratul, and it's like drafting 101. The whole crowd is like they're like, oh, Lost Vikings. They're like, wait a minute. There's a Zeratul on the other team. Why are you taking Lost Vikings? And it was like a chorus of pings the whole game. Bing, Lost Viking dead. Bing, Eric dead. Bing, Olaf's gone. It was ridiculous.
I think Yip Boss might have left just in time to listen to that little bit. That roll so for me that Roll20 game was the most confusing game. The one before it was kind of confusing too when they drafted into the Stitches. That didn't, or maybe Stitches was that game. It all kind of runs together, but the Stitches one was weird. And then the Vikings into his air tool. I think we were all looking at each other like, what did
That
they
just happened.
doing?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? So that was good. I liked the Fnatic Tempo Storm series. I feel like that was a fun set to watch. I would definitely check that out. The reality was all the games were good. MVP Black, Team Freedom, like Team Freedom had opportunities to win that set. They just didn't. Dignitas Expert was the same way. It just came down to like little things that kept you from moving on to the next round.
And we got to see some interesting things, like Murden was played in almost every single game. And of course, this is pre-nerf Murden, so he did still get his jump on his jumps. So he still had
his stun jump was still there, yeah.
And one cool combo, I think it was Roll20 that pulled this out too, was Garrosh Medivh, who normally you wouldn't say, like, how's that a combo? Because the area of effect taunt working with a polybomb was genius.
That was insane. But I don't think that was Roll20. I thought that was
whoever it was. They pull.
That was Tempo Storm.
You start with your little pull in, pull people closer to you. You AOE taunt them. Medivh drops his polybomb, and it's just a mess of sheep all over the place, and they can't do anything because they're all taunted.
Right.
And then when they're untaunted, there's like 3 sheep around, and you got circles everywhere. There's like, it's just chaos, and I kind of want to try that in Team League environment.
That was the Fnatic Tempo Storm. That was the game they won. So.
Yeah, the cheese was real there. So we did see some cool little pocket strats here.
Hold on. You cannot call that cheese.
Well,
that was like straight up smart use of game mechanics.
Okay, well, sorry, cheese might be the wrong term there.
Yes, let's not call that cheese.
I want to call it maybe a pocket strat. I feel like people, and myself included right there, throw around the word cheese a little too often. I think cheese for me is more like a hidden strategy that you're not using all the time, and I felt like that's what it was. I don't watch a ton of their games, so I don't know if they pulled that out before. But
that was definitely a first display of that. In fact, watching, I've seen almost. I think I've probably missed maybe 3 total games of HGC this year. Nobody has done that yet. That was like straight up. Here you go.
Yeah, I remember hearing Grubby cast it too. He's like, I could see a case for polybomb here, and he took polybomb. I was like, oh, something's coming.
Yes.
You could feel it,
and it was amazing. It was like that was. It surprised everybody. The Wombo was real with that. Like, it was amazing.
Pretty cool. Any closing thoughts on HGC and how it went?
If you can go to BlizzCon next year, go to BlizzCon. I'm going to work at saving more seats in the front row.
Yes, and it turns out if you get there when the doors open, you can generally get, if you're willing to sit there and camp, like in the seats all day, you're generally going to get seats in the front, like 2 or 3 rows. That's not hard at all, at least from this year's experience. Right. Like getting front row center might be difficult, but you can get really good seats if you get there to the match early. They don't fill up super fast, especially early in the morning. Okay, so our Friday night date night, LiQuiD. Not just me and you and our wives. Not
just me and you.
So it's not weird.
Right. Yep.
To their wives. We're changing it up a little bit. You want to tell everyone about that?
Oh, no, man. This one's all you, buddy.
Okay, so we're currently playing Guild Wars 2. And after going to BlizzCon and seeing like the announcements for like, the new vanilla WoW service and everything, I was like, this is amazing. I really want to play World of Warcraft right now. I want to get into this. Why am I playing Guild Wars 2? So I was like, LiQuiD, let's start just trying WoW out. I asked my wife. She was like, yep. I was like, what? You said yes that fast? To World of it's World of Warcraft we're talking about here. Like the thing that like, you probably made fun of like 10 years ago of like other people doing. Like, you sure you want to do this? Because like I'm game. I know LiQuiD's game. I know his wife's game too. You sure your game, wife? And she was like, yep. I just called her wife, Laura. I guess I should call her by her actual name. And,
are you sure you're good with this, wife?
Yeah. And she wanted to play initially Night Elf. And I was like, hey, LiQuiD, like, should we be Horror Alliance? Like, what should we do here? And you're like, there's a lot of things that I will compromise on, but you have to play Horde. And I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I'm gonna be one of those crazies. I shouldn't say that, probably like alienating like 95% of my viewership base here. But like at BlizzCon, I've been like, for the Horde. And anytime you ask someone who chants that at BlizzCon, be like, so like, why do you like Horde better than the Alliance? You don't get an objective answer. It's always like, because Horde is amazing. And you're like, but that doesn't tell me why I should pick Horde over the Alliance. I feel like you're just telling me like why you like blue rather than yellow. Like it's personal preference. Like I want to know why. And even LiQuiud couldn't tell me. Exactly. See, I don't know. But I'm going to drink the purple Kool-Aid and I'm going to join the Horde, or I guess red Kool-Aid. I'm going to put on...
The blood of Manaroth is green, bro.
Yeah, sure. Okay. We're going to be drinking... Well, I'm going to be a blood elf, apparently, because that's the only pretty one my wife wanted to kind of like deal. She's very like, into the aesthetics and she doesn't like being like a monster. And the blood elf is the only Horde character really that kind of matches that. So we're going to be blood elves. We're going to start this Friday playing some WoW and getting into it. And I know LiQuiud's got like a strategy for how we can do it. We want to try and make sure we get as much of the content as we can of the storyline and of the game without making it too grindy, which hopefully we'll be able to do. But either way, I'm really excited. I know LiQuid's excited. I'm sure Kitty and Laura are both excited as well. So if you want to catch that, we'll be doing it on Friday at around 9 p.m. Eastern on this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TrollsGG. Did I cover it all, LiQuid?
Yes.
I was comprehensive. That's good. So, Mystic, we have one final segment, which is yours, sir, that we're going to do before we close the show, and that's Mystic's Shakedown. There it is.
Mystic, I require service of you. I come to you as a friend, asking you to shake down this situation for me.
Mystic, shake down the situation for us, please.
Okay, so the thing that I'm going to talk about this week is mechanics. So people throw down this word a lot, like, but what does it actually mean? Everybody's like, oh, this guy has good mechanics, or you have to have good mechanics to get above plat or something or whatever. But what is it exactly? So I'm going to break this down into 3 kind of subcategories here of mechanics. Is execution, which includes dodging of skill shots, playing your character correctly, and like hitting your skill shots. So all of that, you know, if you can do all of that well, you got like half of it down, basically. If you can land all those skill shots like Kael'thas stun into Flame Strike into like Flame Bomb, or yeah, all that stuff, you're good. That's like half of it right there. The other half is actually, you know, knowledge, experience. So experience, if you have a lot of that, you know, that just comes from playing the game. You can expect like certain situations to crop up. Like if you're walking up and you see like 3 of the enemy team and you're thinking, should I engage onto this? And the objective is like right next to you. Maybe you should not engage like 3v5 because the objective's right there and you don't see other people on the map. You can probably expect like the other heroes on the enemy team to be very close by. Now, if you haven't experienced this situation before, you might be like, oh, it's a 3v3, I'm going in. You know, you just go straight in. Suddenly, those 2 people that you didn't see from Fog War come out, jump you, and you die. And then your team starts flaming you for going, that was really obvious. Well, it might not have been obvious to you because you haven't experienced this situation before because, let's just say, you know, it's a very low-ranked game or something. But your teammates have, so they didn't tell you. And now you have, so you'll know better in the future. And that all comes from game experience. And the last bit, the third piece, is knowledge of heroes in the map. So this kind of rolls into game experience because if you study like the heroes and the maps, right, you know when things come up and when things come off of cooldown. So when you come up against a, like, let's just say the new hero, Alexstraza, you know that she has a heal that sacrifices part of her life and heals based off of how much life she has when she uses it. So if you get her really low, then she's going to heal for nothing on her Q. And she's going to have to rely on that huge AoE circle on the ground to actually heal anything. Other bits and pieces that are part of it, but I wouldn't say are like main parts of it, of mechanics, are efficiency. So when you're clearing a lane, let's just say, and you're playing, Kael'thas, I'm going to use him as an example again. Instead of like flame striking and then like putting a bomb somewhere and then just auto attacking them all to death, you can actually have a good combo of using your passive, putting a bomb in the middle minion, the wizard minion, when they're all grouped up, flame strike the entire wave after they've clumped up to attack your wave, and you've hit the entire wave with one flame strike and one flame bomb. And if you're above level 5 or 6, then you've cleared out most of the wave, and the melee minions are alive with like really, really low HP. And then to close it all out, we have practice makes perfect. Obviously, you've heard this a million times, but if you practice something, you get good at it. Like, for example, if you're playing Rhaegar and your teammates keep getting hit by all these CCs, but you can't cleanse them in time, like you get hit by the CC's over, then your cleanse comes out. Well, that's pretty useless, right? But if you can get a buddy or a couple of buddies to help you practice that in sandbox mode, then, hey, the stun comes down, and then you cleanse it, and let's just say you're late like the first 20 times, but eventually you're going to get it. Even if it takes like 100 times, you're going to get it. And then next time you play Hero League, you're going to be much faster. You're going to be like, all the stun comes out, instant cleanse, and then people are going to be like, man, that was a good cleanse. And that's it for my section.
Interesting as always, Mystic. Thanks for shaking it down for us, sir. I'm quickly realizing we're running low on time, so I'm going to start closing out the show.
Running low, we're over, bro.
Well,
negative,
low, negative. I don't know. Anyways, thanks everybody for listening to the Nexus Trolls, a Heroes of the Storm podcast. We stream this live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/trollsgg, every week on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. LiQuiud, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
So the best place to follow me is on Twitter at LiQuiudGG, LiQiuDGG. I tweet whenever I'm doing anything interesting or when I find anything interesting, so follow me there. I should actually be starting to stream at some point soon again. We'll see how that works out.
Ooh.
Right? Also, we mentioned this a little earlier, but if you're interested in being part of the Trolls GG family, we're still looking for a social media manager. Just tweet out about new content, post to Reddit, monitor any replies there. You can hit me up on Twitter. We're also always looking for more writers if you're interested in that as well. So, yes.
Hi, Mystic. How about you, bud? How's your Twitter coming along?
You can find me at Mystic Shroud on Twitter, and I'm up to 33 tweets.
28 followers, following 27. It's getting up there. You're getting up to respectable Twitter levels, sir, and I'm pretty impressed. Still need that background, though. I'm going to send you an image or something that you can use as your background image for your homepage. If you're looking for me, you can find me at DazHots on Twitter. I want to thank all of our patron supporters over at patreon.com/trollsgg. If you like the show and you're looking for a way to support us, you can do so there. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. You can visit our website, trolls.gg/TheNexusTrolls, to watch this and past shows, along with past video streams, which can also be found on our YouTube channel, which is getting suspiciously close to the threshold where we can actually name our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do. I'd love to say it's YouTube/TheNexusTrolls or something along those lines.
Trolls
on the next
GG,
show.
dude. Come on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Trolls GG. I forgot. We share the YouTube video with Troll, and so it's obviously trolls.gg. And for announcements of the show and general Heroes news, you can follow us on Twitter at TheNexusTrolls. If you want to hang out with the Trolls community in-game, including some after-show games after this show, you can /join /TrollsGG in-game, or join our Discord channel, and you can find the information there at trolls.gg/Discord to get an invite. Finally, if you need to get in touch with us, the best way is by email at TheNexusTrolls@trollsgg. LiQuiud Mystic, thanks for hosting with me. Everybody, thanks for watching. Have a great week. Oh, I should have a bumper cue, shouldn't I? Let's do that now.
Yeah.